This is August 15th, 2000. I'm at GR0015, the Ozark claim, also called the Black Hawk prospect. This is a shaft that shows on, I believe it's the Idaho Bureau of Mines and Geology publication map. It's caved, but it's about 10 or 12 feet deep down here. Probably doesn't show too well the depth here. Very steep south wall and east wall here that I'm standing on. The west wall's got this tree kind of falling into it, so could get out. And then the north side kind of has this little notch, so you could easily crawl out of here if you got into it. But it is a fairly steep drop there, and probably could hurt yourself pretty good if you fell off of there. The granite's pretty soft, so it's a little sandy on the bottom, so at least that might cushion the impact a little bit. This is out on the end of a little north-south trending spur ridge off the main ridge west of Ozark Creek. The waste dump for this extends out to the north here about 30 feet. It's about 10 feet wide, and it's probably 10 feet thick at the thickest part out here on the slope. A little bit overgrown and brushy, but you can see it does kind of go down to this little group of trees, taller trees down there. Then there's a second shallow little pit right adjacent to it. I doubt if this was ever over 15-20 feet deep at the most. Right now it's about 5 feet deep is all. And this is a little mound of material that was excavated from it. Now both of the drainages on either side of this little spur ridge appear to have been plastered. I believe down below me here you can see another little prospect. This is probably part of the ditch. See if I can focus in a little. Probably part of one of the water ditches goes along around here. These are all over the place out here in the Florence area, and this drainage is no exception. That's about all that's here. A little bit of scrap metal lying around, but other than that I haven't found any cabins or anything out here. Some other claims are down here along Ozark Creek, so I'll go see if I can find those. This is August 15th, 2000. I'm at the Ozark mine. This is also called the Bald Eagle in the literature. And you can see a claim notice here was dated 8/25/99. So this is probably still an active claim. It is on Forest Service land. Quite a number of different things here. Probably some caved adits. Looks like a shaft over here kind of in the creek. An old bulldozer here. Some piles of lumber back there. A lot of scrap metal around. Some more boards over here. So I'll go over and take a look at this, what I'm assuming is a shaft. I'll have to check the literature. We do have a little bit on this one, I believe, but I'm not exactly sure what it all is. There isn't much of a waste dump here, except for these piles of material around, but there's also kind of a ditch going out from here. Probably was plastered. Almost all of this area has been plastered. It's very difficult to tell what's plaster workings and what isn't. This water right here has some old timbers in it, but doesn't appear to be very deep. It may be that that's a shaft there. It could also be that was an old bridge. We really don't know. There was a fence around here, so my guess is it probably was a shaft. If I come over here, maybe we can look down in and see if it goes down at all. You know, it does appear to go on down a ways. I can't really see. It's just the water's just too dark. In any case, again, because there's a fence around it, I'm assuming it was probably a shaft. Then Down below here, there's the remains of 2 mills, and also some things that look like caved adits, although I can't really tell for sure whether they're placer cuts back into the slope or just a caved workings. This is kind of typical of these things. You can see this deep notch. Maybe you can see it through the brush. It goes back up quite a ways there, and several of these are on down the road here, and I'll go on down and take a look at those. You can see this whole area has been dozed out fairly level. Doesn't really look like a waste dump, although could easily be. I see an old barrel over here. I'll go on down and we'll take a look at some of these other features. Here's the remains of what probably was an outhouse. A little bit of a pit underneath it. There's a couple little wooden steps right here leading up to it, so I'm presuming that's what it was. A little cut on the slope behind it with some boards in it. And then all these little alder thickets are kind of growing in what appears to be troughs and cuts back into the slope. There's a little water down here, but it's just stagnant. It's not really flowing. This trench or cut goes back in the slope here, maybe 50 feet. There's no opening, so if it was an adit, it's caved. Again, just to the west of it is another one of these. You can see it just goes back here and terminates into the hillside. It really doesn't look as though this was an adit. Very difficult to tell. In any case, the access road kind of comes in here from the road up that leads to Florence. There's several little dammed up wetlands. One just up above me here, below where that shaft is, and then several more down here below. Would be downstream, which would be to kind of the northwest. This is on Ozark Creek. Again, another little thicket over here where it looks like things have been kind of notched out. I'll go on down here and we'll show you the remains of these 2 mills. Well, in fact, I can see the wheel of one of them from here, the drive wheel for the camshaft. It's down there, and again, here's one of these ponds. They don't really look like tailings impoundments. Most of this stuff would have been just crushed rock, but I'm guessing that these were maybe to supply water for placer operations or to run their mill. Now this little mill here looks like it was a 2-stamp mill. Wheels about 5 feet in diameter. You can see 2 of the stamps, maybe 3. Actually 4. They're still relatively intact there, all 4 of them. And you can see the cams here. And then part of the frame for it is right down here. Possibly it was actually mounted right here, maybe, looks like. Again, another little wetland below it, down this drainage. And again, you can see these little mounds of material all along here, where I'm sure this was all plastered. I'll go on down. There's what looks like to be a little crusher, a Huntington crusher mill down along the road. So we'll go take a look at that. This is the other little mill that's here at this site. You see the main access road there, and then there's a little chute that comes off of it up to here where they'd bring stuff out to run it into this little crusher. Feed part is right up here. And if this is a Huntington crusher, it's just got some rollers that go around and brings it out down below there. Again, you can see the drive wheel to turn it. Looks like it was powered by this little gasoline engine here. More scrap material, some old boards down here. Not too much else to see down here, and just placer workings all along the creek. There's little pits and cuts over on the hillside. Kind of see one right over there. There's more of them up in here. Probably doesn't show too well because of all the smoke in the air today. I didn't really find any waste dumps to speak of. It looks like all the dumps, assuming those were adits, have been reworked and bulldozed and maybe plastered. And the dump for the shaft has probably also been plastered, or at least kind of run out into the creek. And so it's real hard to say how much originally was out there, whether the shaft is very deep or not. So hopefully the literature will give us some information on that. Unless I find some open workings or something, that should pretty well conclude the video for this Ozark mine.